Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the 1995 sequel film, Leprechaun 3. So this is the third film in our 8-film movie marathon that we're currently doing. This takes place in Las Vegas. This is a different Leprechaun. First film, second film, third film, 3 different Leprechauns. All played by Warwick Davis. All the same makeup, creature design, different costumes though. This one's very green on green on green. The first one had pink pants. Completely forgot about that until I looked back and I was like, wait, that's all. They're all different costumes, kind of. This one, a guy named Scott, 18-year-old Scott, is just graduated high school, traveling to Los Angeles. First one took place in New Mexico. The second one takes place in Los Angeles. This one takes place in Las Vegas. So Scott's going to college in Los Angeles and wanted to stop in Las Vegas prior to going there. On the route, he got distracted by this hitchhiking girl, Tammy. He almost crashed into her car that was dead. So he pulled over and then takes her to her job at the Lucky Clover Casino. She's a magician's assistant there. So how does the leprechaun come into play, right? They're both at the casino, even though you could only be 21 to be in a casino and he's 18, so it was a sneaking thing. There's a pawn shop across the street where this one-armed, one-eyed, and one-legged man drags in this sack containing a leprechaun statue and with a medallion. So tells the shop owner, don't take the medallion off, gets $20 for it, he's out of there. Of course, the shop owner takes the medallion off, leprechaun comes to life, all hell breaks loose. There's golds, which then a shilling is lost, but the rest of it goes into a safe, and he's touching a steel safe. So you're like, okay, well, the second film was all about wrought iron is dangerous to them, but then here in the third one, he's touching an iron safe, and I was like, I don't get it. The lore changed again. And then in the second film, they're talking about if you catch the leprechaun, you're granted 3 wishes. But then in the first film, it talks about if you catch the leprechaun, you get the pot of gold. And then in this one, it was a matter of if you get any kind of gold from the leprechaun, each gold piece is worth a wish. And I was like, the lore keeps changing. There's no consistency. So each leprechaun film has their own rules, and it's just weird. So Leprechaun is causing chaos, and eventually he bites Scott because Scott eventually finds the shilling at the pawn shop after he loses his tuition money that his parents gave him at the casino. So he goes to the pawn shop to pawn his watch, sees the dead clerk, with the shilling on the desk, takes the shilling, and then starts to win. So he goes from $23,000 to zero to over $100,000 in a matter of quite some time. Not quite some time, like an hour, maybe 2. So then he's getting his wish granted with the shilling of being on his winning streak. Leprechaun then attacks him in the room, bites him, and Scott stabs him in the head, and then his blood mixed with the bite wound causes a blood reaction, and then Scott's starting to turn into a human-sized leprechaun. And what happens with that? So there's a lot of hospital fighting scenes, there's a lot of casino fighting scenes, there's a lot of skeezy casino owner scenes, which I was not quite happy to be watching. These are 90s films, so back then, and still trickling into the aughts, not so much mid-teens and on, 20s, you wouldn't see anything like this. So it's great to see how things have progressed, but the chauvinistic men are pigs concept of making women as objects, it's just gross, and I don't enjoy watching it. And I understand that it was a stereotype and a trope that was done within regards to projects last century, but it's just creepy watching it now because it was celebrated then and it's not now. We understand and vocally scream at those now, but it's just, I don't know, it's a weird thing to do. Watch something that is gross. Like, for instance, there's a lot of like racist Indian jokes in this, and there's like a gay joke in this, and I was like, this is just, it's giving me the ick. So 90s film, appreciate the practicality, the props, the blood, the makeup, the costuming, stuff like that. I like that there's a different setting. We were in Vegas. Not many horror films are in Vegas, so that was like a horror villain is in Vegas. Not many of those, so that was neat. We've had some zombie films and TV shows in Vegas, but not like this. This was different. Like Resident Evil, there's a whole like Vegas thing. That's another franchise we gotta watch at some point. Um, but this was different. It was like a horror villain, like if Freddy Krueger was in Vegas, like Jason Goes to Manhattan, right? So like Leprechaun goes to Vegas, but Leprechaun was also in Hollywood. So now we've been to random town in New Mexico. We've been to Hollywood. We've been to Las Vegas. What happens next? Is the fourth one the space one? I don't remember. There's space. There's Into Hood. There's Into Hood 2. There's Leprechaun Origins, Leprechaun Returns. I think that's the 8. But my question is the fourth in the hood, the fifth is the space one, the sixth is the second in the hood? I don't know. And which is the hood? Are we in New York? Are we back in LA? Are we in a different state? I need to watch these quickly because I have questions. But every movie is introducing different lore, different rules for the leprechaun. How they get rid of this leprechaun at the end is that if you destroy the leprechaun's gold, then he dies. So they destroyed the pot of gold and he died, but then Tammy then reveals that she had a shilling left that they found. What should they do with it? But then the lore doesn't make sense because all of his gold wasn't destroyed. If that was the 100th piece that she had at the very end, why did the leprechaun die? Because only 99 shillings of his were destroyed, not 100 shillings. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They're cheesy, corny films. I understand why, I was going to say episode, why the third to current films have only been released directly to video, DVD, or digital throughout the different decades. And the first two were the only ones in theaters. And the second one didn't do very well at all at the box office. And so that's why they decided to release the rest straight to video. I understand why, because there's no connection between them all. It's their own separate film. It's weird. Warwick does an incredible job. He does an incredible job. And overall, it's obviously a great franchise because it's a memorable character and it's a good horror kind of film. This is something you would watch with your buddies at a sleepover in middle school kind of a thing, which I didn't do. But it's just that kind of vibes to it. I don't know how else to explain it. Like it'd probably be better with watching it with people, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the marathon as it is because I'm paying attention. I'm learning that one thing does not equal the other when it goes to the next film. So let's see what happens in the fourth film. I don't even remember the title. So let's see. Are we going to space or are we going to the hood in the fourth film? Let's find out. Leprechaun 3. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.